Here we are in Charlotte, North Carolina, for the 2012 Democratic National Convention. It's the first time for China Daily to send the reporters to American political parties' national convention. On my right is Tan Yingzi and Zhou, Boris. Yingzi, you just got back from Tampa, Florida for the GOP convention. Do you feel the difference? Different is the energy you feel with the different conventions?
Obviously, I feel a lot of energy here in Charlotte. It's very different between these two conventions. And in Tampa, I saw a lot of, securities patrolling around, and people are more serious, But here, I saw so many faces of color, minority people, and the thing here I feel is so lively and diverse.
The interesting thing is that the people we met, obviously, here are all sort of Democrats. They already made their decision. They're going to vote for Obama. But the key issue of this election is really to get to message to the swing voters. So how this convention is going to change in that respect?
I think the only part of the convention that most Americans, especially those who have yet to make up their minds about who they'll vote for, and of course that's a subset of people who care enough to actually turn out to vote, will be tuning in exclusively for the primetime speeches, particularly those of President Obama on Thursday, which will be at an outdoor event at the football stadium in Charlotte, and on Wednesday night, Vice President Biden's speech. Other than that, as you indicated, Weihua, the event itself is not very dramatic, and that's by design. Both political parties, the Republicans and Democrats, have arranged it so that this is a very television-friendly, very scripted affair with very little possibility of any sort of disruption.
So I'm just wondering, on Thursday night, how Obama can lay out his new economic plan to persuade those disappointed voters to believe in him again. So do you think he has a very exciting economic strategies?
No, I actually think he has not energized, stimulated the people, actually the base supporters. Most of them are disappointed over the past few years, because he has not stick to his promise. Whether, stop June tech, closing the Guantanamo, even, say things like that. Because Obama tried to be a centrist, move away a little bit from his core base. I think that's a huge disappointment for Obama. He really needs to make a very good case on Thursday. Why his policy is better than Mitt Romney's. I don't think they have confidence in him now in handling the economy at the moment. So he needs to tell them, convince them that he has a better vision. You may suffer in short term, but long term your children will be better. Because he supported sort of a more stimulus plan, why we have to spend, the Republicans obviously want to sort of cut back on spending. All this, I think he still needs a lot of work to do to convince people. I don't think a lot of people are convinced at the moment.
For the first time in my lifetime, Americans are concerned about things that usually only policy wonks care about, such as the federal debt, fiscal stimulus packages, and other matters. So for Obama to try to energize not only the bases you talked about, Weihua, but also to get those all-important swing voters that we never stop hearing about in the coverage of the campaign, he has to show them that he has a plan to deal with America's well-known fiscal problems. It is not going to be enough for him to distance himself from the Republicans' complaints. He's going to need to take those complaints head on and say, here are my policies that are going to confront these issues, while also pointing out what Democrats and others would point to Republicans' hypocrisy on this problem. For example, we talked about defense. Well, the Pentagon budget is 20% of the overall federal budget, and a larger proportion of GDP than you know, a lot of other Western democracies. Yet neither party seems interested in seriously slashing overall defense spending.
Yeah, I mean, interestingly, you know, on the job issue, because Obama, you know, survey after survey shows Obama is more likable, you know, among the American public. But on the issue of economy, American public, more people believe Romney can handle economy better. You know, is that Obama obviously has been attacking him for his experience at the main capital, which the Democrats believe it's a bad thing, you know.
If you're asking if Obama's speech on Thursday, which will come the night of the next weekly jobs employment report, if that will be a significant shift in the campaign rhetoric, I'm sure it will. But whether it will change minds, the challenge, among others, for the president, but probably the main challenge overall, is probably turning the narrative around so that voters get a sense that President Obama's stewardship of the economy has actually been successful given the bad circumstances that he inherited. Now, Republicans claim that Obama overemphasizes the idea that he inherited a mess, but I think most Americans share that. Certainly most Democrats certainly have this view, and a good number of independents share the view that he did in fact inherit a fiscal mess and a crisis from his predecessor, George W. Bush.
You know, coming from China, you know, we always keep an eye on the American foreign policy, you know, so what Obama or Romney is going to do with China or maybe international issues, you know. I mean, Romney obviously sounds very, very tough. Obama is slightly better. But the question, I mean, to me, after, you know, watching the American politics, is should we trust the politicians for what they say during the campaigns? You know, it seems that we should not pay that much attention, you know.
I think for foreign policy issues, both parties on this issue, the views are very similar. It's a bipartisan thing for them. So no matter what they said during campaign, many U.S. experts have expected that there's no major departure from current policy.
With regard to China.
Regard China, yes.
But obviously, you know, Obama wants to reduce defense spending, and Romney wants to actually increase it. And he was stronger, sort of in moving American military pivots to Asia, and he sounds tough. I mean, obviously, he has not elaborated that much, also, but his tone was like it's quite tough, accusing Obama to be a doormat, you know, China.
These are standard Republican tropes that are used against Democrats every time there's a presidential election. So I wouldn't even take those claims very seriously. And I think what we're talking about when we look at spending decreases is really the rate of spending increases. Neither candidate is going to seriously reduce in any way the Pentagon's overall budget. It will still be as large.
Just a slower rate.
It is now, according to various estimates, larger than the next 17 militaries in the world combined. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon.
So we should not worry about when, you know, he becomes President Romney, we're going to fear more about the China containment, labeling a currency war or maybe a trade war. So you don't think that's going to happen, right?
I would, as Yingzi said very eloquently, I don't believe you're going to see any major shift in policy, either in a second Obama term or in a new Romney administration.
Actually, from my observation, the foreign policy thing in both conventions is very thin. You know, not many people talking about that, and voters don't care about that. It's secondary thing to the jobs and economy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's have a bet, maybe in the end. Would you still bet on Obama?
I'm not a betting man, so I'm not. I think it's this election. You know, we're now seeing polls that indicate it's very tight. Yeah. Although it's interesting, at least in one Florida poll I saw, Mitt Romney did not achieve the somewhat expected bounce from his performance at the Republican convention in Florida last week. So we'll see.
So you feel you want to bet on that?
Yeah, I think Obama is a safe bet for Americans. You know, give him a chance for another 4 years.
Yeah, I'm quite unsure. I think, although I think Obama has a slight lead, but I think it's kind of very risky, this re-election game. Okay, thank you very much. Zhou, Boris, Tan Yingzi, and I'm Chen Weihua.